This is a revision lesson on Christianity practices. Now, this is the second of 2 revision lessons, so make sure you've also had a look at Christianity beliefs and teachings. Now, just like last time, you're going to need a pen and paper. You can use your book if you want to, or just a blank piece of paper is fine. What we're going to do is give you an overview of this unit. That includes all 6 topics in this unit. And then I'm going to test you 6 questions on each of these topics. This is going to help you identify areas that you need to improve. So what do you need to go and look back on? What do you need to do a bit of revision on? Then you're going to fill in those knowledge gaps by returning to your book or having a look online at the resources again. And you've got some practice questions to end this video. Okay, let's begin. These are the 6 topics that we're going to go through. For each of these 6, I'm going to ask you 6 questions. So can you please write down these subtitles on your paper or in your book, and let's dive into the first one, which is worship. So write worship as your first subtitle. I'm going to ask you 6 questions. After I've asked them, you can pause the video and write down your answers. Question 1. What is liturgical worship? 2. Give an example of liturgical worship from Church of England. 3. Give an example of non-liturgical worship done by the Society of Friends. 4. What prayer do all Christians say and where is it from? 5. Name the denomination that speaks in tongues. Include the source for this type of worship. 6. What did Jesus say in the Gospel of Matthew about praying together, and which denomination uses it to support their kind of worship? Okay, pause the video now and answer these questions. You don't need to write in wrist paragraphs, you're just writing down detailed answers showing off your knowledge. Okay, let's go to topic 2, sacraments. 6 more questions, write sacraments as a subtitle, and now answer these questions. Question 1, define sacraments. 2, which denomination has 7 sacraments, which has 2? 3, what is the sacrament called where they eat bread and drink wine? Can you use 3 key terms? There are actually 3 key words that mean the same sacrament, but they're used by different denominations. Question 4, what are sources for Christians performing the Eucharist? 5. What are types of baptism and why do some baptize adults? Question 6. What is an impact of baptism? Again, pause the video now so you have time to answer these questions in detail in your book or on paper. Okay, topic 3, pilgrimage and festivals. Write that down as a subtitle. 6 questions on this topic. Question 1. What is pilgrimage? Question 2. Name the pilgrimage that takes place in France and include who founded it and why. 3. Where is Walsingham and how did it start? 4. What do Roman Catholics do at Walsingham? 5. Name the 2 most important festivals in Christianity and what they celebrate. And 6. List things Christians do during these 2 festivals. Pause the video and answer these questions. Topic 4 now, evangelism and charity. 6 more questions. Question 1. What is Tear Fund and what do they do? 2. What teaching from the Gospels do they use to support their work? 3. What is evangelism? 4. Give 2 examples of evangelism. 5. Why does the traditional Christian view support evangelism? 6. Give the quote and source that supports this view. Pause the video and answer these questions. Topic 5 now is persecution and unity. 6 more questions. Question 1. What does martyred mean? Question 2. Explain what is sectarian violence. 3. Who did the Roman Catholics persecute in France in the 1680s? 4. What did Queen Elizabeth I do in England that persecuted Catholics? 5. In recent times, where have Christians faced persecution? And 6. What is the ecumenical movement and give an organisation who supports it? Pause the video now and write down your answers. And the final topic is this one. Is Britain Christian? 6 last questions. What is a census? 2. What did the last census in 2011 show with respect to Christianity? 3. What religions increased in size in the last census? 4. What might explain the increase in the number of atheists in the last census? 5. Why would some argue Britain is a Christian country? And a final question, 6. Why would some argue Britain is not a Christian country? Okay, for the last time, pause the video and write down in detail your answers for these 6 questions. Right, we're going to go over the answers now. So this is what I want you to do. For each of these topics, I want you to mark down which ones you got correct, which ones you got wrong. If you want to do any corrections, you can also do that. But you should be giving yourself a score out of 6 for each of these topics. Right, let's start with worship. Question 1. The answer was structured worship. 2. Church of England read prayers from the Common Prayer Book. 3. Society of Friends, or they're also called Quakers, worship in a meeting house, not on a meeting house, it should be in a meeting house. They sit in a circle and they use informal prayers so they can make it up different each time and they don't have a priest. 4. The Lord's Prayer is the prayer which is said by all Christians. That's the one that starts, Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name, that one. And this was taught to the disciples of Jesus by Jesus himself, and this is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. 5. Pentecostals, or you could also say evangelicals. That's a bit of a broader term, but most of the time we're going to use it as interchangeable. You can use it to mean the same thing. And the source for Pentecostal worship or speaking in tongues is the book of Acts. And the book of Acts is the book that comes after Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, the 4 Gospels. The book of Acts is actually the actions of the disciples after Jesus died. Question 6. This is the quote that you should know. For where 2 or 3 gather my name, there I am with them. This is Jesus speaking, and Quakers use this as the reason for meeting together to pray, rather than praying by themselves. Next topic, sacraments. Answers then. Question 1. A sacrament is a ritual where the grace or blessings of God can be received. Roman Catholics, they have 7 sacraments. Protestants have 2. The 2 that Protestants have are the Eucharist and baptism, and those are also 2 that Roman Catholics have. Roman Catholics have other things, for example, marriage is one of the sacraments for them as well. 3. Eucharist is eating the bread and drinking the wine. Now, there are other terms for this, so Church of England call the Eucharist Holy Communion, and Roman Catholics call the Eucharist Mass. So Eucharist, Holy Communion and Mass all refer to the same thing, but you have to use the correct one depending on the denomination you are talking about. 4. The source for the Eucharist is the Book of Corinthians in the New Testament, which has instructions for Christians on how to do it. And also the Last Supper, which is where Jesus had his final meal with his disciples, and that's where he talked about the wine representing his blood and the bread representing his body. That's recorded in the Gospel of Luke. Number 5. Infant baptism is baptizing babies, and believer's baptism, that's baptizing adults. Now there's one kind of Christian that really focuses on baptizing adults. They're actually called Baptists, and the reason that they baptize adults is because Jesus was baptized as an adult by somebody called John the Baptist, and this is recorded in the Gospels in the New Testament. And number 6. Well, the impact is it washes away sins. So Christians believe it gets rid of even the original sin from Adam and Eve, which gets passed down to each new generation. So this is a way of cleansing us of sin. Topic 3, pilgrimages and festivals. A pilgrimage is just a religious journey. Taze was founded by Brother Roger, who's a Christian monk who wanted to unite all denominations of Christian. He didn't like it that different Christians were falling out. 3. Walsingham is in Norfolk in England, and this pilgrimage began 1,000 years ago when a woman had a vision of the Virgin Mary. Roman Catholics, they walk barefoot over the last mile as they consider the land holy. They'll also pray together and they'll have Mass, they'll take part in Mass, so that's the bread and the wine. Christmas and Easter are the 2 most important festivals for Christians. Christmas celebrates the birth of Jesus, and Easter celebrates the death and resurrection of Jesus. And question 6. So for Christmas, they'll have a nativity play. That's where children might dress up as like the shepherds and the wise men who come to visit Jesus. They might have a midnight mass, so this takes place at midnight, so you're welcoming in Christmas Day when the bells strike 12. They might give gifts as well on Christmas Day. At Easter, they might roll eggs That's remembering the rolling away of the stone which covered the tomb of Jesus. So when he was buried in the tomb, then when his disciples went to visit the tomb, they saw later that the stone had rolled away, and they later then met Jesus who'd been resurrected. They might also do Lent. Now this is a 40-day fast. This is not giving up all food, but be giving up a particular food. So you might give up meat, you might give up chocolate, something like that. Some kind of sacrifice. Good Friday, they'll often go to church. Good Friday remembers the day that Jesus died. And then Easter Sunday, there'll be a church service, and this remembers when Jesus was resurrected. Okay, topic 4, evangelism and charity. So Tear Fund is a Christian charity, and they try to help alleviate poverty and suffering around the world. And they work in many different countries. Done a lot of work in Syria, Yemen and South Sudan this year because there's a lot of poverty, including people without homes, without food. The teaching they would use to support this work could be love your neighbour. Now this is a teaching from Jesus. His most important commandment, was to love God and to love your neighbour. So loving your neighbour is going to be a really important thing to do. And for Christians, neighbour is just anybody. It's saying basically you should love people even if they're not your friends or family. You should love even strangers, just people who live around you in the world. Those are your neighbours. So this is a really important teaching because it's actually recorded in all 4 Gospels. Number 3, so what is evangelism? Evangelism is spreading your faith. Some examples are handing out leaflets, knocking on people's doors to talk about your faith, or missionaries, people who travel to a different country to spread their religion. 5, so the traditional Christian view is that only Christianity leads to God. If you're not a Christian, you can end up in hell when you die. This is also called exclusive salvation. Now remember, not all Christians believe in this. Some believe in universal salvation, so they wouldn't think that evangelism is important. Now, a source to support exclusive salvation is this. In the Gospel of John in the New Testament, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one goes to the Father except through me. So Christians might interpret this to mean that you have to be Christian to go to heaven, and this is why they believe in exclusive salvation. Topic 5, persecution and unity. Question 1, so a martyr, or somebody who's martyred, is somebody who's killed for their beliefs, their religious beliefs. Sectarian violence is fighting between people of the same religion. So when you think about Roman Catholics and Protestants, if there's fighting between them, they're both Christians, this would be sectarian violence. Question 3, the Huguenots, they were a group of Protestants who lived in France. Now they moved to England to escape persecution in France. An example of persecution in England against Roman Catholics was that Queen Elizabeth I made it the law to attend Church of England churches. And if you didn't do it, you'd be fined. Question 5. So in recent times, Christians have faced persecution in many different countries, unfortunately. So we can see this in China, where there are restrictions in many religions, including Christians. In North Korea, Christians have been arrested and some have even been killed. And in several Muslim-majority countries, like Egypt and Syria, there are terrorist groups who have actually attacked and killed many Christians in recent years. Question 6. The ecumenical movement is about uniting different Christian denominations and ending sectarian violence. Now here's an example of an organisation. The World Council of Churches believes that there are more similarities between Christians than differences, so they think Christians should be united. Right, the last topic, is Britain Christian? A census is a survey done every 10 years. We can see that in 2001 there are 71% of Britain was Christian, and in 2011 that dropped to 59%. During the same time, other religions did increase. So we saw Islam and Hinduism increased. So Islam increased from 2.8% to 5%. Now, why might there be more atheists now? Well, some possible reasons could be people have been leaving their religion, their faith. Scientific evidence has questioned things like miracles or creation stories, so people no longer believe in their religion. Number 5, why would some argue Britain is a Christian country? Well, if you look at our holidays, Christmas and Easter, they are based on Christianity. If you look at our laws, things like do not steal, do not murder, these are found in the 10 Commandments, which are in the Old Testament of the Bible, in the book of Exodus. And in court, if you go to court, you can put your hand on a Bible and swear to tell the truth. These things seem to suggest that Britain is a Christian country. Why might some argue it's not a Christian country? Well, Christmas and Easter are also celebrated by non-Christians. And emphasis is not only on Jesus. For example, you see a lot about Santa and the Easter Bunny, and these things are not about the religion of Christianity. And we do not follow all the Ten Commandments. For example, one of the Ten Commandments says, "Have no other God except for me." Now, other religions are allowed in Britain. You don't have to be a Christian to live in Britain. You have full rights and full freedom to be any religion you like. And also, you don't have to swear on the Bible. You can swear on any holy book, or you don't need to swear on any holy book at all when you're in court. And if we look at the shops are now open on a Sunday, whereas previously they were closed because that was the Sabbath day, the day of rest. Okay, you should now have a score out of 6 for each of these topics. Have a look. What do you see? Which topic was the hardest? What did you find the most challenging? Which topic were you maybe most confident on? Now, there could be a few which you found challenging, and that's okay. This is really good information for you, because you're going to use this information now to decide what to do next, because you want to be confident on all 6 of these topics. So, I want you to choose now one of these topics to go and do some revision on. You want to be systematic about this. Just choose one, get that one sorted, then move on to the next one, okay? This is our next steps. Revise the topics you found most challenging. Do this by looking back in your book, and also you can check online for the resources we put up. We put up all the lesson resources from your previous lessons. Then you can try this test again. See, can you get 6 out of 6? Just do it from memory, right? Do it without your notes in front of you. After you do some revision, can you get 6 out of 6 for the topic that you found hardest? Then you can end by doing some practice questions, which I will show you now. Okay, so we've got some A questions, B, C, and D. You don't need to do all of these straight away, you can work your way through them, but by the time you get to the exam, you should have had a go at all of them. So to summarise, you should have done that quiz to identify what topics you found the most challenging. You should have then done some revision and then come back to this once you've done that revision to have a go at some practice questions.